Welcome to July 8th, and here's one of those news of the day type things. So, I collect this stuff over days at this point in time. So, towards the end of June, we have like all kinds of news all the time, and who's going where, what's going to happen, and then after July 1st, it kind of peters out for a bit. It picks up again, but at this point, it's kind of petered out. Now, if you're a Leaf fan, you're going to be hearing it from both sides. There's going to be people saying you lost Kadri for too little. There's going to be people who say, well, Barrie's just a rental, and he is. So when it comes out that he reportedly wants $8 million a year, Colorado fans are going to answer with, yeah, we know that's why he's gone. Colorado wasn't intending to keep him past this coming season anyways. The Maple Leafs are, and I'm going to say this again, they're all in on this year. It is this year they want to win it. And I know there's people who say, but they can't. They don't have the lineup. And that's fine. But in Kyle Dubas's eyes, you look at how many contracts expire at the end of this year, it's a high number. Now, league-wide, you're going to see some of that too because of uncertainty regarding whether or not there could be a lockout next fall. That big, the L word's right out there, right? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it can. There's just too much money to be lost if they go through the lockout. There's the American TV deal that would definitely lose some value if they had a lockout. There's the what it could do for a year later to expansion in Seattle, and just in general, the league's doing really well financially. I can't see anybody benefiting from a lockout. Don Cherry. So I did not report on this. I had somebody tell me about this at the Seattle meetup, and I didn't do a video on it because I wanted to hear from Don Cherry, and we have. On Twitter today, he said that he is not leaving. So Steve Simmons reported that he had seen who had and hadn't been renewed for contracts next year, and that Don Cherry was not on the list of renewals. And people have picked this up and gone crazy with it. Like, okay, Don Cherry's out of a job. Don Cherry is saying that he, A, was told a week after the playoffs he will be back this coming season, and B, he's upset with Steve Simmons for not just calling him and asking him, hey, Don, you coming back? Now, Simmons is a figure in the Toronto media who I've heard a lot of complaining about over the years. And Brian Burke certainly complained about him as well when he was general manager in Toronto, and said that one thing that he was grateful about when he quit his job as general manager was he wouldn't have to talk to Simmons every day anymore. So he does kind of have the reputation, and I'm not sure if it's because there's gossip in it, but this is something I try not to do. Is I want to wait until I hear from both sides. Well, I could have put out a video 2 days ago saying Don Cherry might be out of work. Could have got a ton of hits, ton of traction, and we could all debate whether it was great or it was horrible. It's not happening according to Don Cherry. So now that we've heard both sides, and Simmons didn't say he was out of work, just hey, he's not on the list of renewals. All that means is they haven't agreed on a number yet. That doesn't mean he's out of a job. So, this is the age we live in where we've got social media, and so again, I've said this before. I won't report on it when it's just one side. I think maybe. No. No. DJ Smith, new coach of the Ottawa Senators, fresh from the Toronto organization, says that Senators fans will love Zaitsev's game. They will love everything that Zaitsev does. And you know what? Honestly, Toronto is known for in both media and the fans really picking apart their players. The problem is Zaitsev did not have a good year. And so they unveiled he'll wear number 22. And they've got Connor Brown, Ron Hainsey, and Tyler Ennis, all former Maple Leafs coming in as well. It's going to be a very Maple Leaf style roster. The question becomes, are they really going to be better? And if Zaitsev's a guy they're looking at and spotlighting going, we love this guy, we love his contract, I think a lot depends on Erik Brannstrom. If Brannstrom, who they got from Vegas in the Stone deal, comes in this year, plays top 4 minutes, and plays really well, Ottawa could absolutely improve a lot. But it is a lot to ask of a kid to come into an organization that, a year ago, their owner says, kind of a dumpster fire, to have him come in a year later and you're going to save our blue line. It's a lot to ask from a kid, although he is tremendously talented. I'm on the fence when it comes to Ottawa, whether or not I think they're going to be much better this year. But I think back to last summer when we all agreed Vancouver was going to be awful. Number 31 ranked team in the entire National Hockey League. And that they're a disaster. And then they weren't. They really weren't. They had 81 points. They finished ahead of, I think, 8 teams in the league. So they weren't a disaster. So for us right now who might look at Ottawa and go, oh yeah, no, they're a disaster right now. I don't know. I don't know that it's that easy to just nail that down like that. The Edmonton Oilers still need to change Puljujarvi's mind. According to his agent, the change in general manager and coach doesn't make a difference. And the rumors have always been that there's a problem in the locker room in regards to Puljujarvi, and that there's teammates of his that aren't big fans of his, and that might be why he wants out. Here's the thing, though. If he's unpopular in the Edmonton locker room, what would make him popular in a different one? Because we've seen that, right? Where a player will get moved, and it's, oh, well, he doesn't get along with his teammates. And then he gets a whole new set of teammates, still doesn't get along with them. So it's going to be tricky to move him because he's got underwhelming numbers at the NHL level, right? We don't know what he's going to be at the NHL level, and hasn't got along well with others, reportedly. So it's going to be tricky to get him moved. But I think Holland's going to do whatever he has to, even if it involves maybe losing the trade just to be rid of him. Sonny Milano and AJ Greer, and this is something that happened. It was reported yesterday. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do a video just about that. And it's not going to be in the title of this video. But I'm going to report on it so people can't say that I didn't. Apparently they were arrested in Manhattan. They were in a nightclub, and they assaulted a man who reported his jaw hurt and his back hurt. I mean, his 2 hockey players apparently fighting with a 28-year-old man. And they'd also argued about the bill at a nightclub earlier that night. I didn't specify in that article as the same nightclub. I'm assuming it was. This is where hockey players and pro athletes have to be careful. You're out in public. Partying's fun. I get that. But if you drink too much, this can happen. And if it was friends of mine who got arrested for, drinking at a bar and fighting, nobody's going to care. It's not going to be in the news. It really doesn't matter. But when it's professional hockey players, professional athletes, people are going to care. It's going to get news. And when you're Sonny Milano and AJ Greer, and Sonny Milano has struggled at the NHL level with Columbus, AJ Greer hasn't quite broke through as an NHLer yet with Colorado. Don't get into this kind of crap in the offseason. Don't give the general manager an excuse to get rid of you. Which, in Milano's case, Columbus may very well have been trying to get rid of him before. But then you're also making it tougher for a general manager to do it. They've got to appear in court September 4th regarding this. It's a misdemeanor thing. It's not, it's not some kind of a felony. It's one of those things that happens when you drink too much. If it happened in the 80s, I don't think it even makes the headlines. I think it's just sort of a footnote somewhere. These guys beat somebody up, whatever, they were in a bar. In other news, but in this news cycle, with the way things are, and with social media being what it is, it ends up being blown up a little bit more. So we'll see if this ends up meaning something, or if we're forgetting all about it come October. Because for Columbus, a team that has lost some talent in the offseason, if Milano could really approach his ceiling and start showing that, he's worth that first-round draft pick, this is a perfect time for it, but we'll see what comes out of this. I don't think it's much of anything, but we'll see. Pat Maroon is still out there. He wants a 2-year contract. Reportedly is only being offered 1. So any team that's looking at Patrick Maroon is only willing to offer 1. That's why I'm wearing the Maroon jersey. Edmonton has been one of those teams rumored to be looking to be back in on him. And hey, I would love to have this Maroon jersey suddenly be current again, and I look like, hey, that's a nice new jersey you got. Yeah, it's brand new. And the Blues apparently aren't a team that's really interested in bringing him back. So I'm guessing that because the Blues have prospects coming up, they look at their lineup for this year. They're very grateful for what Maroon did for them this past season, being a hometown guy and all. But going forward, they're looking in another direction. So we'll see what happens with Maroon, and if he ends up signing a 1-year deal. I would think that eventually he'll sign that 1-year deal. He'll just have a choice of, reportedly, there's up to like 5 different teams interested in him. I want to talk about Vegas a little bit. Where's the England contract? July 1st. So a week ago today, we're having the live stream. It's just crazy. Thousands of people in it. And it's reported that Derek England's going back to Vegas. It was right on the board. Like, all right, Derek England's going back to Vegas. Makes total sense. He's going back to Vegas. Where is it? Where's the England contract? I'm bewildered. And are they just waiting to see what's going to happen with Gusev? So is this a matter of they've sat down with England and said, all right, here's what you're getting. We're giving you a 2-year deal. We're giving you a 1-year deal. It's going to be for this amount. But we got to wait until we figure out what we're going to do with Gusev and what we're going to do with this other guy. We've got to figure this other stuff out first, and then we'll give you your contract. I'm wondering if that's what's going on. It's just weird because you don't often hear a team going, yeah, we're going to sign him, and then nothing. So it's strange because he's technically still UFA, but Vegas is where he's going to end up. And I said at the end of the year, I can't see him going anywhere else. Either he plays in Vegas, or if they don't bring him back, he ends up moving into some kind of a role with the organization, whether it's player development, scouting, whatever it is. I think he'll stay in the Vegas organization when his career is over. And I wanted to end on this. So Jake Gardner is still listed as the most valuable free agent available. And I can get behind that. You could make an argument for Ryan Dzingel. You could make an argument for Michael Furland if he's healthy. The Jake Gardner debate is this. He's worth at least what Tyler Myers signed for. I think that boat sailed. I don't think there's teams with that amount of cap space now that are going to sink that into Jake Gardner. I think now it's a matter of, well, okay, so is it going to be a longer or shorter term contract? And I think if you're a general manager, you look at Jake Gardner and he's got the tantalizing point totals as a regular season player, but it is hard to overlook his last 2 Game 7s against Boston. And I would think that in at least one or two GM's minds, that's tough. Because you're bringing in a guy who in really big games has been known to have a bad game. And I like Gardner. I do. I think he's a good defenseman. I think he would have liked to go back to Toronto. And if Toronto could have fit him under the cap, added Barrie, and brought back Gardner, I think your defense looks pretty darn solid. I think he'll be a solid addition. But I do think there's some overestimation you see from the media when it comes to Gardner. But we may diminish Gardner as well as fans based on what we've seen in some of these big games. Because, again, he's been pretty effective at times as well. And if he's partnered with the right guy and if he plays in the right organization, we may look back and go, you know what, Gardner was the steal of the free agent market. But it'd have to be, I would think, below $5 million a year for Gardner for us to start having that conversation a year from now. It's going to be very interesting. So let me know what you guys think regarding like the restricted and unrestricted free agents that are left. Is the restricted free agent market holding up these last few big names that are out there? Or is it just general managers have what they want? And maybe it's a matter of the market not necessarily being there. Maybe teams have already got happy with what they got on the blue line. And Gardner gets squeezed out. There's always a player or two every summer who gets squeezed out of a job that we collectively look at and go, wow, he can't find a job? And I think it's just a general manager, let's say Colorado. Joe Sakic looks at his team and goes, well, I'm good for next year. He's got tons of cap space. He could sign Gardner, but he might look at his blue line and go, I don't need Gardner. So he's not going to sink the money into him. Vancouver, who were very interested in Gardner, gets Myers and goes, all right, we've sunk enough money as we can into Myers. We're not going to do that with Gardner as well. So maybe there's some of that going on. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.